What's going on, Vol fans? Welcome into Tennessee Football Talk. My name is Joey Petersen, and with that, spring ball is wrapped up. The orange and white game took place earlier this afternoon in Neyland Stadium. So coming up on today's show, we're going to chop it up and react to everything we are hearing and seeing on how the spring game went today. I'm going to be honest with you, I was not in attendance all the way down here in Dallas, Texas. I wish I was. Mainly, I wish it was televised. Unfortunately, it was not televised either. So we're just kind of have a little bit of a discussion on the things we saw and kind of take small opinions from the things we're hearing from the people in the building today. Again, this is just the spring game. We don't want to overreact. We want to take everything we're seeing with a grain of salt because at the end of the day, we don't know the different combinations of players that are out there. The offensive line might look differently with one group than with the other. You might be playing against different people defensively. You don't know what the play calls are. We don't know anything. You're just out there and you're taking it in. So we're going to talk about everything we took in today. Real quick, make sure you are subscribed. And if you went to the game today, let me know your thoughts down below in the comment section. All right, I'm going to start with what everybody wants to start with, what everybody wanted to see most today, and that was the quarterback battle. It was the first time you were seeing Faizon Brandon play in Neyland Stadium. Obviously, much anticipated between him and George MacIntyre. You got to see a little bit of Ryan Staub as well, the quarterback from Colorado, who actually apparently had a really, really great day today. So everything that I kind of saw and everything, the clips that I saw and the things that the people were saying who were in attendance and were there covering it, it was mainly this. It was inconsistent, okay? There were highs. There were lows. When it came to George MacIntyre, it was kind of the same thing that we had been hearing through the first couple of scrimmages. Held on to the ball a little bit longer than he needed to, took some unnecessary sacks, was fine throwing the football, but completed a lot of checkdowns, like never really just went out there and ripped it. Was kind of cautious about, making bad mistakes, turning the football over, and kind of played that way for Faizon Brandon. Inconsistent in a different sense. Looked like he was someone who used his legs a lot. Pretty much every single highlight I saw from Faizon today was him making a move and scrambling out of the pocket or up in the middle and through the offensive line. Now he looked incredibly athletic, reminded me a lot of Hendon Hooker in the way that they ran, like both, similar speed, acceleration, but you remember how Hendon Hooker kind of just ran like he was high-stepping? That's kind of the look that Faizon Brandon gave me today. And again, I felt like he had a good sense of, sensing pressure and getting out of the pocket, trying to make a play when he could. There was one particular clip I've got on my social media where he steps up in the pocket and makes a nice throw, right? Good pocket awareness right there. But I think that's all just going to come from not being in the offense a ton. This was really his first time with live bullets flying, like in a game sense. I know they do 11-on-11 in practice, but it's different when you're out there in the spring game, right? And so I think the further he goes along the course of his tenure at Tennessee over the next couple of months, the more he has that playbook down, the more he has a feel for how this offense operates and how a quarterback should be operating this offense, the more he has a feel of, going through progressions, 1, 2, 3, and then tuck it and run it, the better he's going to be. And then Ryan Staub, like I said, dazzled every now and then, but apparently looks very small out there. Obviously, size isn't going to play too big of a role. I still don't think that Ryan Staub is going to be this team's starting quarterback. They each were asked, all three quarterbacks, what you think you need to work on. Staub said, my feet, old habits I have to get rid of with the new system. MacIntyre says trying to be perfect operationally. Trying to go through the operation. I think that either means mechanically or that means operating this offense, which is more likely what he's trying to say right there. And then Faizon Brandon says, my lower body getting with the pace of college football. Again, everything is 100 times faster when you step from the high school ranks to college football. He experienced that today, which is probably why you saw a little bit of those inconsistencies. But again, it's the spring game. We're not going to overreact. We're not going to draw any conclusions because it would be pretty silly to do so. Let's go to some other takeaways. There was no Mike Matthews on the field today. I don't know if he's fighting through an injury or if he is, in some kind of trouble with the coaching staff. I think it's injury related because we did get that note on Monday that he was limited in practice. So if I had to guess, I think it's just one of those deals like, you know what, we're not going to risk it. We're just going to have you, he dressed out. So he was there. You saw him with the visor on the helmet, looked sweet, but he did not get any playing opportunities. Speaking of playing opportunities and making plays, the defense apparently looked phenomenal today. And again, I'm going to, in the same ways I told you don't overreact with the quarterback news being a little bit negative, I'm going to tell you don't overreact with the defensive news being a little bit positive because, again, it's only April. But they looked really, really great. And I think it's the same thing that we've been hearing for pretty much all of the scrimmages is, hey, were there busted coverages? Were there blown assignments? Was there a lack of communication? Did this scheme look like it was too confusing and too much for anybody out there? And the answer to that question is no. They looked sound operationally, something that you would not necessarily have expected this early into Jim Knowles' tenure with the Tennessee Volunteers, but that's what you got today. And that's only going to grow as they get into that scheme more, as they continue to practice, continue to play together. This is just, the beginning. They're only going to get to know how this defense runs, the ins and outs of it more. Quay Moss apparently had a great day. He has been one of the most talked about defensive players for Tennessee of the entire day. Looked sticky in coverage apparently. And this was a guy that I was absolutely pumped up about when he ended up committing in the transfer portal out of Kansas State. It's the first commit that Tennessee landed. And I think I said at the end of the video, I think I did transfer portal grades, and I said that, Quay Moss is, I think, the best the biggest sleeper that we added in the portal. It looks like that might be right. Real quick, before we talk about some other players, Josh Heupel was asked about Chaz Coleman today, and he said ultimately Chaz is dealing with some things off the field. He's got to handle that, go through that process. We're here to help and support him in all of those ways, and will continue to do that. So that's pretty much all that we got. He was not present there. He was not at the orange and white game, wasn't on the sideline. Again, I don't really know at all what's going on, and nobody really does unless they're Chaz Coleman or unless they're in that building. We can have all this speculation. We can draw all these conclusions. We can spread all these rumors. Nobody knows what's happening, and they're going to wait until the chips fall as they may, and they're going to try to figure this out. Obviously, it's an interesting and hard topic because you're getting reports that he's homesick. You're getting a report that's nothing detrimental to the team, and so you feel bad because obviously he's going through something mentally, but then also how much you're paying him out of the transfer portal, and at some point, you got to grow up and do the job you're being paid to do. So it's a weird kind of line to walk. It's a weird balance because people are frustrated. But also you got to realize at the end of the day, he's a 20-year-old kid, and he is a 20-year-old kid that's getting paid millions of dollars. I do understand that. But sometimes it's bigger than the money. It's bigger than the sport itself. So hopefully that all gets figured out because Tennessee will be better with Chaz Coleman on the roster. Javen Gordon looked really, really great. The transfer running back out of Tulane broke a 62-yard touchdown run. That was awesome. He showed a little bit of that speed, showed a little bit of his, strength. I believe it was either a safety or a linebacker that he broke a tackle from. And then you just kind of saw him hit that straight line and he took it into the end zone. So that was really cool to see. Austin Price talked about Javen Gordon as kind of a perfect, opposite to Desean Bishop. Those two guys are such great 1-2 punches just with the ways that they're built and what the things that they're born to do as running backs, right? Everybody has different builds. Everybody has different ways they operate, and they are two different backs, but complement each other very, very well. And then last up, the news that you all want to hear the most, Cooper Ranvier, your new kicker, you landed from Louisville out of the transfer portal, was phenomenal. That's pretty much all I need to say. Because, hey, you could say offense is different, defense is different, kicking's the same. Not sure there's the pressure element of it. Just ask Max Gilbert about high-pressure kicking situations. So, yeah, that's going to add something to it once the season rolls around. But he was good from multiple from 38, hit a couple from 50, a couple from 40. So, good day for Cooper Ranvier. All right, that's going to do it. Before we get out of here, Josh Heupel, I did just get this update. He says he loves the growth from that group. Love the way they competed, talking about the quarterbacks. Love the way they're growing every single day. So typical Josh Heupel coach speak. Nothing really crazy right there. All right, that is going to do it for today's show. Appreciate you guys. We'll be back tomorrow. We're going to do Spring Ball winners and losers. Okay, so make sure you stick around for that one. And hope you guys have a great rest of your Saturday. I got the Masters on the TV right there. Gonna enjoy some Mexican food tonight with my wife and our friend. It's gonna be a good Saturday. You have the same, and I'll see you tomorrow.